Hey, welcome! Today, we are diving deep, literally, into the world of commercial fishing to figure out what's really going on out there in the ocean. You know, we all have this image of a vast, endless sea teeming with life, but is that picture still accurate?
You've heard that phrase a million times, right? Plenty more fish in the sea. People say it about everything. But when we're talking about actual fish in the actual sea, that old saying has become, well, dangerously out of date. So let's ask the big question. Is the idea of an infinite ocean bounty just a myth?
Okay, look at this number. 90%. This single statistic, honestly, it gets right to the heart of the entire issue. It should really make you stop and think. But 90% of what? Let's unpack that.
So here it is. What that 90% means is that as of just a few years ago, almost all of the world's major fish populations were being fished either right at their limit or way, way beyond it. We are simply pulling fish out of the water faster than they can possibly reproduce. And to really get what's at stake here, there are two key words we need to understand. They kind of represent the two paths our oceans could go down.
First up, the goal. Sustainable. You hear this word a lot, but what does it mean for fishing? Well, it's about balance. It means we can keep fishing for a long, long time without causing the whole system to crash. We take what we need, but we leave enough so that the ocean stays healthy and fish can keep on making more fish. Simple, right? And then you have the other end of the spectrum, depleted. This is the danger zone. When a fish stock is depleted, it means the population has dropped so low that it might never bounce back, even if we stopped all fishing tomorrow. It's the edge of the cliff. So how on earth did we get here? Well, a massive part of the answer isn't just about how many fish we catch, but how we catch them. And that brings us to one of the most common and most controversial methods out there, trawling.
So trawling is basically what it sounds like. A boat drags a gigantic net through the water, catching enormous amounts of fish at once. It is incredibly efficient, which is why it's so popular. I mean, think about this. If you love fish and chips, there's a really good chance your dinner was caught this way. But that efficiency comes with a huge hidden cost, especially a type called bottom trawling.
Yeah, bottom trawling isn't just fishing. It's more like clear-cutting a forest on the ocean floor. The boat drags this massive, weighted net, and heavy gear scrapes right across the seabed. It just obliterates everything in its path. Ancient coral reefs, lush seagrass meadows, all these critical habitats that are basically nurseries for all kinds of marine life. And the damage isn't just to the seafloor. See, the problem with a giant, indiscriminate net is that it doesn't know what it's supposed to catch. It just scoops up everything. And that leads to this huge problem called bycatch. This is all the other stuff that gets caught by mistake. We're talking sea turtles, dolphins, sharks, you name it. Anything that wasn't the target.
And the sheer scale of this is just wow. Around 10% of everything caught in nets worldwide is just considered waste. It gets thrown back in the ocean, usually dead or dying. We're talking millions of tons of marine animals just wasted every single year. It's a massive disruption to the entire food web.
And if you want to put a face to the tragedy of bycatch, look no further than the vaquita. This little porpoise is the most endangered marine mammal on the planet. Its population has been absolutely decimated. Not because anyone is hunting it, but because it keeps getting tangled up in nets that are set for something else entirely. It's just a heartbreaking, unintended consequence.
Okay, so if trawling has all these major problems, what are the other options? Are there better, smarter ways to get fish from the ocean without causing so much damage? Let's take a look. So, as you can see, everything has a trade-off. Trawling is at the top, super efficient, but really destructive. Then you have more selective methods, like using lines or traps. These are way gentler on the environment, with very little bycatch. But they're much slower and take more work, which usually means the fish you buy cost more. And then there's aquaculture, or fish farming. This can give us a steady supply of fish and ease the pressure on wild populations. But if it's not done right, it can cause its own problems, like pollution and spreading diseases.
So, as we're seeing, it's not just one thing that's causing fish populations to decline. It's more like a perfect storm of different pressures, all hitting our oceans at once. Let's just quickly recap all the pieces we've talked about. You've got overfishing, which is the big one, just taking too many fish too fast. You've got the habitat destruction, not only from trawling, but also from pollution and climate change warming the oceans. Then there's the incredible waste of bycatch. And it's not just an ocean problem. On land, things like dams can literally block fish from getting to their breeding grounds, which can wipe out a whole population. Each one is a major issue, but when you put them all together, it's a crisis.
And this all leads us to the central debate, the big dilemma. Knowing all of this, what do we do now?
And there are no simple answers here because what we're really talking about is a direct clash between protecting the planet and, well, feeding ourselves.
So on one side, you have the argument for conservation. The facts are pretty clear, right? Fish populations are dropping, critical habitats are being torn apart, and bycatch is a massive problem. From this point of view, the most destructive practices, like bottom trawling, just have to stop, period. We need to give the oceans a chance to heal.
But then you have the other side of the coin, the economic reality. Trawling is efficient, and that efficiency is what makes fish an affordable food for millions of people around the world. If you were to ban it, there'd be less fish to go around, and the fish we could get would become a lot more expensive. And that doesn't even touch on all the people whose jobs depend on this industry.
And that right there leaves us with the ultimate question. There is no easy fix. It is a really complex balancing act between the efficiency that keeps food on our plates and the environmental protection that our planet desperately needs. How we decide to solve this is going to define the future of our oceans for generations. So what do you think? How do we find that balance?